Here's a problem for most people. Most people think that their thinking is the problem. Saying things like, oh, I can't switch off. I overthink all the time. Oh, this needs to stop. Well, thought is not the enemy. We cannot live without thought. It was David G that said, no thought, we're flatlining. You see, thought is needed to plan, to create, to solve problems and to imagine. So it's not the presence of thought that's the problem. It's how real it feels when we're in the moment. So when we're in those moments, the body responds as though it's true, like the chest tightens, the stomach lurches, and the nervous system reacts. And that's because we're stuck. So as I said, it's not because we think too much. It's because we have a mistaken reality about what the problem is. Let's think or look at worry, okay? Worry is pain suffered for something that hasn't happened yet and may never happen. So you might be replaying something that's happened recently, something you did and you're really worried about it. You might be thinking about a conversation you need to have and you're worried about that, or just the outcome on a situation. The thing is, it feels justified, yet invariably it never materialises. Your mind cannot tell the difference between what's real and what's imagined, but the body will respond as if it's real. But think about this, like over time, the things that we worry about, either they resolve themselves, they don't happen, or they're not as bad as we initially thought they were going to be. Yet we spend all that time worrying about it and actually feeling that worry. So the thought felt real, the feeling was real, but the content of the thought wasn't. And that's not anybody's failing, that's just how thought works. And if we actually understand how thought works, we can reduce some of those experiences. See, we don't live directly in thought. We live in the experience of it. And that experience is shaped by thought. You know, you can wake up feeling heavy one day, worrying about things, thinking about things, or just feeling heavy. The next day you feel lighter. Nothing's changed. The facts are the same, the circumstances are the same, but what's different? The level of consciousness that thought is passing through. You know, like you can feel tired, you can feel stressed, maybe something's happened and you feel emotionally raw. All thoughts in those moments tend to be denser, they tend to be darker, and they're actually more convincing. A single thought can worry, spiral to a whole story. A small worry can become overwhelming, and that self-doubt then is truth. So in those moments, it's not that the thinking is bad, it's that thought is being experienced at a heavier level. And that rises and becomes lighter through good sleep, through rest, laughter, or just gaining some perspective. Sometimes it's just simply through time. That's when thoughts lose their grip. Nothing has been solved, nothing has been fixed, the facts haven't changed, and yet you feel lighter. Maybe if you have someone in your life that you really trust, have you ever noticed that after talking something through with them, you know, the problem that you had that felt like a big deal, you then say it out loud and something shifts and you find yourself saying, oh, it doesn't feel quite so bad. No solution has been given, no advice has been given, but the problem doesn't feel as heavy. That's why there's the saying that a problem shared is a problem halved. But what did happen? In those moments, consciousness lifted and thought naturally softened. There's a wonderful quote by Epictetus that we are disturbed not by what happens to us, but by our thoughts about what happens to us. So no, it's not saying that the pain isn't there, denying pain. It's not saying that it doesn't matter, but it's just pointing to where your experience comes from and suggesting that thought moves. So when we stop fighting reality, when we stop analysing the thoughts, when we stop trying to control them, something settles on its own. And that's where peace comes from. Not from fixing yourself, not from stopping thought, but seeing thought for what it is. So thought is not the enemy, but believing every thought is. And when that's seen, life feels lighter, even when it's still messy.